Hi, I'm Greedy Colleen in the CapeCod.com News Center, joined today by a special guest from the new and upcoming Island Pickle, according to his business card, the Big Dill himself, Bill Russell. Thank you for joining me for this conversation, Bill. It is a
Glad to be
pleasure.
here. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so you're developing this new indoor pickleball location, which is going to include a lot of other extra stuff as well alongside. But do you mind giving us the quick rundown of what this proposal is? You have some upcoming meetings, so it is like, it's real.
It's real.
But can you give us the quick overview, just for people who might not be like, what, Island Pickle? What the heck is that?
Sure.
So what is it?
No, I'd be happy to. And thanks again for the opportunity. So it's a 37,000 square foot facility where it will all be indoors. We'll have 10 USA Pickleball sanctioned sized pickleball courts. There'll be 8 Trackman golf simulator lounges. There'll be a sports tavern, which will be tricked out with televisions to show sporting events, nationwide and worldwide throughout the course of the day. Locker room, pro shop, a lot of amenities, outdoor patio. It's a pretty cool spot.
All right, nice. Now, for this conversation, we're going to touch on everything from like little details about what it's going to offer, as well as kind of like the planning system, as well as some of course, the controversies associated with the noise of pickleball.
Sure. Yep.
But spoiler alert, it's indoors, so that's kind
right.
of
I solved the town's problems.
Yeah, it was that easy, as it turns out. But yeah, so it is. It's exciting. You are you've got some other places on Cape already. You're not new to the scene. Do you mind kind of giving us a quick rundown of your portfolio already?
Sure. So my wife and I, we own and operate the Pineapple Caper Cafe in Osterville, which is on Weano Ave. We also have a catering company. We do quite a bit of catering. Everything from 2 to 250 people is kind of what we say we can do. 30 to 40 events a month in the summers. It's really an active community activity. I'm also a cranberry grower. I'm an ocean spray cranberry grower. We have a farm. It includes miniature donkeys, alpacas, chickens, the whole nut. It's a lot of fun, and it's just a good place to be here on Cape Cod.
Wait, hold on. We're going to divert for a short moment. You have the livestock and miniature donkeys?
Donkey. That's the bomb. They're like
for fun?
They're like golden. They're like 250-pound golden retrievers. They are actually just love bugs. So they're really cool.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah. We're going to be diverting now to a farm-based podcast version of it now. But back, so we're on Island Pickle. What was the idea for Island Pickle? When did this first start for you, and how long has it been in the works?
Sure, for about 2 years. Actually, 2 years ago, January, I was in the Hyannis Rotary. I'm a Rotarian. And we were talking about a new development that was going on in Hyannis, the Kmart facility. And there was some discussions there. And I worked with, or one of the Rotarians was a very active pickleball guy, nut, if you will. And he jokingly said, "Hey, where's the pickleball going to go?" And then he pointed at me and he said, "And this is the guy that should run it." And so fast forward 18 months or 22 months later, we have a new location, build from scratch location, which will be Island Pickle.
All right, awesome. Now, you have a meeting upcoming with the Cape Cod Commission, I believe. You've got your big old book here. This is the amount of paperwork required to set up something like this. What is some of the extra steps that people maybe wouldn't be familiar with if you're trying to build a facility like this? What have been some challenges for it?
So the tip point for Cape Cod, anywhere on Cape, from the bridges to P-Town, is if you're building a facility over 10,000 square feet in size, you need to go through a process which precedes town permitting, which is with the Cape Cod Commission. And it's all regulatory. It's all environmental protection. It's a lot of concerns that you need to go through and answer specific questions in each of the category areas and be prepared to justify that, in the end, you're not causing a detriment to the environment, even though you're developing a sizable enterprise.
Mm-hmm. All right, and so far we'll see how. Hopefully, it comes back in a positive light for you guys. You imagine you're going to pass through no issue?
Well, I'm prepared. We've been working since I've been working since February of this year to prepare for the application submission to the Cape Cod Commission. It involves full detailed drawings and documentation across every area, from traffic and traffic mitigation studies to nitrogen and how you're going to address that with your septic system. Open space, endangered species reviews. There's a long list of activities that I submitted it as part of 28 pieces of separate narratives that describe what we will be doing to address their specific concerns. That application is reviewed by the Cape Cod Commission staff. When they're satisfied that you have something that is hearing worthy, they schedule a subcommittee review. That review is the 30th of this month. Those are public hearings, and that review with the subcommittee will determine suitability and conformability to their requirements for Cape-wide performance. Upon a successful review with the subcommittee, it then goes to the board of the Cape Cod Commission for their final review. Those are all public hearings, and public review is part of the process. Public endorsement and support of this are certainly something I look for people that are not only interested in the game of pickleball, but maybe interested in providing family fun for a greater set of residents and vacationers here on Cape Cod.
All right. Yeah, we also just did a conversation recently with Bill Haney, who is buying the Regal Cinemas. He's getting the new lease for the Regal, currently the Regal Cinema space in the Cape Cod Mall. And he was talking about like there just needs to be more stuff to do on Cape Cod. Are you kind of the same mind? Obviously physical as opposed to live theater. But.
Yeah, I mean there's a growing interest in pickleball as a sport, right? And a lot of folks think about it. It's an old person sport, and in fact, it grew popular in the time post-COVID of socialization 55 and over, which is the median age here on Cape Cod. But the reality is, the 35 and under group is the fastest growing demographic of pickleball. It's already a high school sanctioned varsity sport in 2 states in the country. Many states, including those in Massachusetts, are advocating it to be a varsity high school sport. And the legs are just starting, really, even though it's had hyper growth over the last several years. And now everybody knows about pickleball. Not everyone's played it. And so what I'm offering is a place for everyone to play, can learn, and enjoy yourself in an outdoor environment, in a climate, or an outdoor experience in a climate controlled environment.
Yeah. So you're anticipating like you want year round essentially for like potential offerings. It's not going to like reduce in size or something? Or
no. I have 10 courts. Those 10 courts, you basically, the thought process, and I've spent a lot of time researching the game, not only researching the game, but researching how different facilities across the country, as well as locally here in Southeast Massachusetts, utilize their courts to advantage their players. And basically it comes down to open play, which is you can come and play on, there's so many people per court, and it's just an open environment where you can play. And they can be skill-based, they can be gender-based, they can be a series of different capacities of which you can play in open play. And then there's clinics, there's leagues. Leagues can get into, different skill levels. Skill level is important. So there's a process to rate players that they can apply to, and then they can play in those. And then there's clinics, there's instructional play, and then there's tournaments. And tournaments is, depending upon the scale of your facility, determines how large of a tournament that you can have. There's a tipping point for USA Pickleball sanctioned tournaments that are nationwide tournaments, which is over 8 courts of specific regulatory size. I satisfy those requirements, so in time I'll be able to satisfy and conduct major tournament play.
Ooh, okay, very exciting. It is essentially, so are you preparing as well for like spectators involved?
So spectators are the ones that play. Basically it's, we have a full service of other things that you can do besides play pickleball. I mean, you can play golf, you can enjoy the tavern, you can enjoy the local, environment that we offer. But fundamentally, I kind of look at it as one of our taglines is, come to play, stay to dine. And you can do both, and you can do that. The thing about pickleball is it's easy to learn, but it's very difficult to master. And so therefore people play from age 8 to 80. And so you can see people that are very young playing with people that are very old that have the same skill level and capability, and they can enjoy themselves. So grandparents can play with kids. And so that family element is a part of it. It's not the only part of what I'm hosting. My intent is to have a place where the local pickleball fanatics, as well as the local pickleball, people interested in pickleball can come and play. But they can also do the same thing for golf. They can also do the same thing for other sport events that we'll have over the course of the year.
It's very interesting. We've now accidentally, by design, we've done a trifecta. We had John Cotton in recently, who is like the biggest pickleball fanatic here on Cape Cod.
Very well.
Yep. I'm assuming he's just waiting outside your door for the
I told him I put a cot upstairs for him.
Well, that's good. But we also had Rob Mastriani. He is someone who has been impacted by the sound of pickleball. He came in and talked a lot about his Facebook group and reaching out to other people who had issues. And he mentioned, he's like, well, if it's indoors, and that kind of that's great, wonderful.
Right.
We mentioned this upcoming Mashpee proposal you have. So, I mean, with that community controversy, do you kind of feel you've addressed that issue essentially?
So
just putting it indoors.
The fact is that if you live near a pickleball facility, you realize that people play as much as they can. And so the towns and try to appease the legitimate complaints that the abutters have, put restrictions on the time of day you can play and the day of the week that you can play, and they are various across the courts that exist here on Cape Cod. There are some communities that have outright banned their outdoor use, and Falmouth attempted to do that last year, and there was a lot of upheaval around that. All right, indoor pickleball doesn't have that problem. In fact, satisfies the issue of abutters. So you can actually, if you're a town rep, you can legitimately say, hey, there is a place where you can play, so we can feel better about putting perhaps time restrictions on some of their outdoor play to satisfy the abutters. Not outright bans, but restrictions, because there's an avenue of which folks can play. You know, the other thing you can do is you can play all year round, right? Today it's cold and windy. Not a great day to be outside playing any sport, but in an indoor environment, you can play 365 days a year. You can play, 14 hours a day. And so before work, before school, after school, into the evening, after dinner, we'll be open from 7 a.m. till after 10 o'clock at night. And so we'll satisfy an ability to have a recreational sport that you can't do outdoors. Forget about the noise that you can't do because of the weather or it's night. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. So as well, we are recording this around lunchtime, unfortunately. So let's talk about food. What are going to be some of the dining options that we have available?
Yeah. So in order to develop a legitimate kitchen, you need to have an idea of what it is you're going to serve. So in fact, the menu offerings for the tavern are fully prescribed so that I could design the kitchen. The kitchen is about 1,500 square feet, just the kitchen size. That excludes the dining area, that excludes the bar area. So it's a sizable space that we can do. My ideal target is, I describe it as high-end pub grub. Right? So, it'll be a lot of shareables and handhelds during the course of the midday, but there'll also be a lot of healthy items, a lot of salad and breakfast items as well, smoothies and juices. Health food for all times of day, but then into the evening it will be, full, steak to fish to steak, and those were all prescribed in there. But it will also be ideally some signature dishes that can differentiate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as an example, it doesn't have to be complicated. If you can make a great hamburger, you can satisfy a broad set of the community, right? And that hamburger it can be meatless too. So you can satisfy even a broader set of that community. So, one of our targeted menu selections is going to be a really good burger.
I'm all about a really good burger. Got me appealed right there. Yep. But I was interested because it's obviously it's billed as a site of athleticism with people, I'm assuming, who are interested in their health and well-being. So I was wondering how that might impact the menu options.
Well, so there's a broad variety of health foods that will be part of that. Having come from a catering company and having a cafe in Osterville for the last 9 years, we have a good idea of how to handle food, how to prepare food, and how to satisfy different appetites. We do quite a number of weddings during the course of a summer, and that really spans the variety of menu options that folks want to select from. So those will all be contemplated in our menu and in our offerings.
All right, awesome. Now, have you partaken in pickleball in your newfound, or is this something that
people ask me that a lot? And to be honest with you, no, I've actually never played.
Sure.
And now I say the first time I want to play is on my own courts.
Why not?
Now it might be at 6 a.m. with a ball machine because I don't want to show people how terrible I am at the game. But one of my investors and one of my board of managers advisors is the USA Pickleball advisor for the Cape and Islands. So she's the ambassador for pickleball, and she knows the game very, very well. And, so I have a lot of people that ask me to come play with them so that I will look less foolish when I actually start to play.
Private lessons.
But I basically, I'm in it now. I started this as a business venture. seeing the gap, seeing the need, seeing the opportunity, and now seeing the value that I can provide to the community. And that's a big piece of it too, is giving the community something that they can do.
Well, I clearly have a passion for food as well, coming from the catering and just your background in general. So you definitely got that going for you on that front. And with the pickleball, so is there going to be like times where as it goes on, you might see yourself like, oh, well, maybe this day we'll have it switched off to be like a tennis court, or is it going to be like it has to stay pickleball once it's pickleball?
And, at the end of the day, the success of the business is going to be determined by dollars per square foot, right? So how much revenue can we generate per square foot? And now my current belief is there is a sufficient demand and a continued growth projection of what the population of interested people that will want to play the game, that the pickleball courts will stay pickleball courts. Having said that, the design of the facility is flexible such that it can be reconfigured for different use should it need to be. I don't believe that it needs to be for the long term, but the design, the value of building new is that you can design it to be to have all the capabilities and flexibility to think the long term, and that is contemplated in the structure that we're building.
All right. Now, of course, as great businessmen like George Lucas of past fame have brought up, merchandising is certainly this is the pen that you brought in for today. But so what is, you mentioned kind of like shop opportunities? Is it going to be mostly just like sport focused, or what's the?
So let me back up a little bit to answer your question. So,
because you got USDA.
We could have named this anything, right? And there's a lot of things that have the word Cape in it. It doesn't have Cape in it, and the island is not the Cape. It's actually, as you can tell from the swag wear that I'm wearing now, we are, fans of the Caribbean and fans of, the beach. And so when you think about merchandising opportunities, you can go in infinite number of directions, with an island and in a pickle. And so that was part and parcel. The selection criteria by which we chose the name is we can not only build a brand around it, but we can build a merchandise structure around it that will come. Having said that, that's for fun. That's for, clothing, which we will have, but we'll also have the full service capability of equipment, not only for pickleball, but also for golf. So we will have club fitting. There's not a lot of places in the Upper Cape where you can actually get fitted for clubs unless you're a part of a private club that has that capability as a pro. I will have pros on staff that will have that capability, so we can do club fitting, and we can do club head renovation or golf club renovation as well. So there's a broad list of capabilities that are planned for our pro shop.
Okay, so the goal is like if I walk in and I want to try golf or try pickleball, and I don't have anything.
Sure,
you would potentially
rentals are
be able
possible.
to.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So just like selecting the design of the structure for pickleball, similar thought went into designing and selecting the simulator that we would use. Right. So TrackMan is the name of capability for golf and for golf analysis. And so our TrackMan lounges, the cool thing about indoor golf is you have a library of over 300 courses that you can select from, and you can play those courses. And with the exception of putting, which it doesn't do very well at all, you can get a very good representation of your game. And so you can learn on those, and then you can have your app on your phone tell you what your capability is. So when you do go and play outside, you can say, oh, it's 280 yards. Is that going to be my 7-iron? Or it won't be, because that's a crazy shot if it's 280 yards. But, TrackMan will tell you that. The other thing is that, so we can do golf fitting on a simulator station as well. So those are some of the capabilities that will be there.
Very interesting. And I imagine, like, once again, that off season, people can stay honed in the winter months.
And the other benefit of that is there's a lot of golf pros that, not all of them go to Florida and work in the winter when the courses close around here. So there's a number of them that will have the advantage of having an opportunity to be a contract pro instructor at an indoor facility that has capability and scale, so they can bring their clients, and their clients can have lessons in a world-class facility.
Okay, actually, that does bring me my next question, which was like staffing and also just like that
Mhm.
that industry focus as well. So, I obviously you need probably like waiters and stuff like that.
Sure.
But are you looking now for like potential coaches who want to sign on, or like as you already mentioned before?
Well,
Or
I have line of sight to a few.
Okay.
It's still too early. Let's just
Sure.
from a schedule standpoint. So the intention is opening in the summer, and it'll be later in the summer of 2025. And there's a lot to do to get to that point in time. Uh, eh, but once I break ground and I have, great certainty on my opening, about 90 days before we believe our opening date will be, which is currently scheduled for late summer of 2025, we're going to start to have a significant presence on our website, which is being developed right now. We'll offer, pre-sale of memberships, pre-sale of instruction, pre-sale of a lot of activities. And it's really in that period where we'll be soliciting for instruction. I have a lot of discussion going on the pickleball side. I've yet to really solicit for golf yet because I still think it's a little bit too early.
Understandable.
That will come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. I can once again, John Cotton. I can hear him listening to this conversation. But that is really interesting. So we're about coming up on time. But is there anything else we wanted to add for our listeners? What are you most excited for? Is there something that you're a little bit worried about still before we can get started? Like what is some of the extra stuff you want to share while we still have?
Yeah, I think that the important thing for me is to people to be aware that a local business guy is trying to develop something that will provide a community value beyond a specific game, right? Whether it's golf or pickleball or, a sports tavern to, watch the World Series or a Super Bowl, you'll have that different capability to target to different audiences. So it's not targeted on a specific subset of our population. It's targeted on the community. And that's very important to me. I mentioned I'm a Rotarian. I do believe in giving, beyond self. We've been successful in our cafe because we treat our customers with the utmost of care when we're catering for them or serving them at our cafe. And this is just an extension of that. So, advocacy is what I'm asking for. If there was one thing I would ask for right now, it would be, hey, go onto the Cape Cod Commission website, go to the public hearing section, find out on the calendar that Island Pickle is going through their public hearing review on October 30th at 5 o'clock, and you can join on the call, or you can send through their posted. They have a formal process, so you can type in a quick little note and say, hey, we think this is a pretty cool thing that would benefit the community.
All right, awesome. Now, actually, one last question was, obviously this is in the same area as like Mashpee Commons, so it's like,
Yes.
you feel like that's, are you worried more competition, or do you think it enhances? Like, what's
So a couple things. One is it's on Route 130. So it's actually 11 miles from the Sagamore Bridge, 12 miles from Hyannis Mall, 12 miles from Falmouth Center. It's a great location for Upper Cape, which doesn't exist. It's 4 miles from Mashpee Commons, right? What I think is I'm going to bring in visitors that are actually then going to go to Mashpee Commons that may not have otherwise gone to that section of Mashpee for whatever reasons, but now there's a destination that they can come, particularly when we get to tournaments where people will be coming from across the country to support and play in a major tournament. They'll have the ability to frequent, the local Mashpee community. There's, Cape Cod Coffee right down the street at their roasting facility. And I think that a rising tide floats all boats. And I'll be providing that rising tide for the town of Mashpee for a lot of those community store owners.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. Sure. It has been a pleasure, and hopefully we'll be staying tuned for whatever is to come and get that opening date on the calendar.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm Grady Collane, and thank you for listening to this segment for CapeCod.com.